Here we are at the crossroads. Here we are when young people are saying that they would not allow the despoliation and destruction of their country. Going forward, I think that the ball and the buck is at the table of Mr. President. How they manage the next 5 to 10 days is their choice. If you continue to allow operations of state to provoke the masses of the people, it's your choice. If you continue to gaslight and spend monies on cash TVs to refuse to support a progressive effort, it is your choice. I think and I believe that peaceful protest is the right of the people. And what is necessary is to show that you're not opposed to the young people, you're not against their freedom to express their rights.
This is very profound as well as insightful interview from Professor Chris NWOKOBIA. Like, I can listen to this man all day. This is a must watch, honestly. So he talks about the state of the nation, what Tinubu needs to do, and as well as what Bayo Ononuga said about Peter Obi and his supporters concerning this upcoming protest. So before I allow you guys to watch the full video, just check out this headline. Tinubu government hires and pay Northerner Group to destabilize and bad governance in Nigeria protest in Abuja. So one of the people, they gave 1,500 naira just not to participate in this upcoming protest, came online and exposed them all. Like, must Tinubu bribe his way out? Can't he just do something genuine for once? Must Tinubu always bribe his way out? Like, why is this Tinubu administration so afraid of protest? Or is this something this Tinubu administration is not telling us? Because me, I'm not understanding it again. The way these people are going about this protest is something else. To the extent of bribing people, giving them 1,500 so that they will not participate, so that they will destabilize this upcoming protest. My people, I don't even know what is going on, honestly. Like, if this Tinubu government, have Nigeria and Nigerians at heart, by now they're supposed to be working towards what Nigerians have already listed as their demands. The reason why they're going on this protest, they're supposed to be working towards those demands. But rather, they are busy blaming some people, gaslighting, paying people to destabilize so that this protest will not take place. My people, let me allow you guys so that you can listen to what Professor Chris said concerning what Bayo Ononuga said about P2B and his supporters, and the very important advice he gave to Tinubu. If truly Tinubu wants this nation to move forward, if truly Tinubu don't want this protest, let me allow you guys to listen to him, and I'm going to be right back.
Let's go straight in. I just gave that, I gave a lengthy read of one of the tweets by presidential special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Chief Bayo Ononuga, who's used some very interesting words: anarchist, social or civilian coup. He said that the hashtag and perhaps the movement is being driven or spearheaded by Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party. Is there merit to what he's tweeted?
There's absolutely no truth to it. And let me start by saying that oftentimes when those who speak for Mr. President do, they forget that they must be keen on doing great service, not only to the presidency, not only to Mr. President, but to the nation. I have always said that truth is the pristine street in the city called brotherhood. There is absolutely no truth in what my boy Bayo Ononuga had written. And let me also say that opposition is the pristine boulevard in the city called patriotism. You cannot expect to have a country without critical opposition. And Ayo, wonder about this, and this is for the viewers to ponder. Peter Obi allegedly lost an election last February. He did not call the people out to protest. Through the period of the judicial process, he did not call the people out to protest. It's a year and months after that he would sit back to ask the people to protest. There's something even the greatest critic of Peter Gregory Obi would say. He's a man of peace. he loves due process. And at some point, you can bear me witness, I called him out about certain issues, and I said he was allowing so many things to go wrong, even at the level of the party, because he wants peace and due process. And that same Peter Gregory Obi's one by Onanogo is trying to rope in a process that is absolutely within the purview of the Gen Z generation. And let me show you something. If there's anybody stoking the fire or stoking the embers of conflict and crisis, it is by Onanoga. When you use words like you noted, anarchy, when you use words like overawing words that overawe the system, when you use words like planning mayhem, when the young people are talking about peaceful protestation, then there's something that we must be weary about. And that's why I want to say clearly that Mr. President must understand that those who truly love him are those who are critical of his watch. I know that the Holy Book says that open rebuke is better than strict love. Those who truly love him are those who are critical about how his watch is going. Those who are sycophants, who pat his back when things are going wrong, are the haters of not only the president, haters of the presidency, and haters of our country. When I read through what Bayo Nanoga wrote, I wondered how much hate he has for Mr. President and not love. Because you are, don't forget, and I say without fear of querulous critics, that the cliche, when a man is down, he needs fear no fall, is true. And if Bayo Nanoga understands this reality and understands what this Gen Z generation is facing, if he understands this reality and understands that when you go to the market, you need 10,000 naira to buy an average tuber of yam. When he understands that this Gen Z generation are aware of what goes on around government, that over $100 million was spent in purchase of a presidential aircraft when connecting roads to the farms and the villages are not well and are not good. When you understand the fact that they are out of school and they are through with youth service and there's no job. When you understand the fact that the Nigerian hoi polloi is buffeted, traumatized, tyrannized, and harangued by hunger, poverty, disease, and despondency. When you understand that the shortage of food and the spiraling rate of inflation affects everybody. When you understand that hunger, disease, and despondency is beyond ethnicity, when you understand that the challenge facing the Nigerian people is beyond partisanship, he would write nicely and seek to create a better environment for negotiation and perhaps dialogue with those who are aggrieved.
Okay. I mean, how do you juxtapose all of this when Egbonbara Onanuga, as is fondly called him, in 2012 tweeted songs of protest and was excited about the protest against Goodluck Jonathan then, with his position now of a protest? What has changed? Might you help us want to understand?
My brother Rufai, good morning. A lot has changed. He has his hands now perhaps in the cookie jar or very close to the cookie jar. A lot has changed. Perhaps he must sing the praise of his masters. A lot has changed because when people put egocentric interests over and above popular interest, they begin to talk from two sides of the mouth. Rufai, with all sense of respect, in 2012, when we marched out at Ojota against the fuel price increase by the then president, Goodluck Jonathan, even our dear president was absolutely in support, materially and morally, of that protest. Bayo Onanuga and co. hailed our action. He sincerely addressed the rally about 2-3 times, and it was a long, drawn-out rally, about 11 days of protestation against Goodluck Jonathan. They saluted it. Now Nigeria is worse than it was then. That's the truth. Even the president admitted that in his last broadcast. But he said the process of changing the nation is not an easy one. They tried to gaslight the masses of our people. Yeah, we know that it is bad, perhaps everywhere in the world, but leadership is making frontal, profound, and progressive efforts across spaces. Here, our leadership is taken over by wanderlust, by greed and profligacy. That's the pain here. And so when Bayo Onanuga refuses to understand that the right to protest and protestation is intrinsic in the human makeup, when he fails to realize that the right to say no and to disagree is recognized, enshrined, and respected by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Chapter 4, when he fails to recognize that Nigerian people have the right to disagree with government, the freedom of assembly, the freedom to hold opinion. And when he fails to realize that peaceful protestation is a universally protected right and decides to allege that those who are behind the protest still in the mill are the obedience, are the IPOP people, and perhaps, if you like, sponsored, machinated, and manipulated by Peter Gregory. It shows the fact that he loves half-truths and falsehood. I want to say without querulous critique, without fear of opposition, without fear of criticism, that the truth is that he's looking a different way. Those who are planning this protest are everywhere across the country. They are the Nigerian hoi polloi, the young people who are traumatized by pain, hunger, and disease. They are those affected directly. As I talk to you, I've got tears in my eyes, welling down my eyes, because it pains me that we have a government that is too removed from the reality, and we have a government superintended by those who believe that protestation and disagreement with state is noble, and suddenly they are now in power, and protestation and disagreement with state has become anarchical. They are now in power, and protestation and disagreement with state is a crime. They are now in power, and disagreement and protestation is anathema. They are now in power, and they want to make the rights of the people to disagree atavistic and shibboleth. And I disagree completely with the state on this. And I want to say that Mr. President understands the anatomy of protest and protestation. So he should call his spokespersons to order. They should stop provoking the Nigerian young people. They should stop creating division, because hunger is indiscriminate of ethnicity. Hunger is indiscriminate of religion or region. And hunger is indiscriminate of the tendencies that they want to whip up. It's not about our pub. It is not about obedience. It's not about Peter Gregory. It's about a generation that wants their nation to work.
Correct. Definitely a generation of people who want their nation to work. And as it stands now, it just isn't working. And as you've said, the right to protest is something that it is already protected within a constitution. It's something that should be welcome. Civil organizations, civil disobedience is something that is part and parcel of a democratic society. But you have said that there is no merit in the comments that attribute the planning of this protest, which is yet to happen, to Peter Obi himself. That being said, even though you said that he is not behind the planning, is not financing this in any type of way, do you accept that he would be in support of this type of civil resistance, being that, as you've said, the cost of living crisis in this country is a huge issue? The fact that the average person is struggling to afford food staples in their house, it is cause for some form of civil resistance, civil disobedience. So while we can accept your words that this organization or these accusations are untrue and do not have merit, do you believe that Peter Obi would be in support of the people using their voice and their organization to call upon the government for support at this time?
I cannot speak on behalf of Peter Gregory to the extent of what is in his mind, but consistently he has talked about the need for things to be done rightly. He has advocated a society and a system that works. If you were to ask me personally, what are your thoughts? You know, with all sense of humility, I ran for the office of president in 2011 when I was 40. I have my opinion, and with all sense of respect, I lead a movement called Country First Movement. So my opinions are simple. Let the Gen Z generation be peaceful about their protestation. Because the truth is, no matter how much the system tries to gaslight them, no matter how much youth groups and organizations that are paid to discountenance and distance themselves from the planned protest, no matter how badly the system works propaganda against the protest, it's their right. And let me assure you that this generation will protest. What is important is for government and spokespersons of government to reach out to them. What is important is for Mr. President and the security agencies to reach out to them and ensure that the protestation is peaceful. Gaslighting the people, lying about the engagement or involvement of Peter Gregory, it's not going to pay any price. It's not going to earn government or the spokespersons of government any trophy or prize. The truth is that it comes to a point in the life of a nation and a people where, like John F. Kennedy said, those who make peaceful change impossible make violent change inevitable. And let me say also, very importantly, it was Robespierre who said a long time ago that when the poor have nothing to eat, they eat the rich. And it's been a very constant phenomenon in the lives of the Homo sapiens. Mankind has always said no to wickedness. Mankind have always said no to injustice. And mankind will continue to say no to that which is wrong and bad, no matter how much people use the instrument of state to coerce or intimidate. And I want to say very importantly, this is an advice to a president I know very closely, a president I work closely with, a president I understand his temperament and tendencies regarding protestation, that the time has come for him to advise his spokespersons and those around him, to talk to the service chiefs and the IG of police, to talk to those who are in charge of the security agencies. You know, when you continue to threaten these young people, you annoy them, you anger them. What is important is for Mr. President to address the fundamental issues that agitate the people, cut down the size of government, cut down the cost of running government, sell some of those presidential aircrafts, convince the people that you did not spend another $100 million for aircrafts. Ensure that your ministers and your aides are accountable to the people. Cut down the salaries and emoluments of those who serve in government. Ensure that the National Assembly, I'm not talking about the party tokenist tendency of cutting salary for 6 months by half. I'm talking about the total package. 469 members of the National Assembly should not be taking more from our collective till than over 10,000 workers. A member of the National Assembly should not receive more salary than a professor. There must be a holistic overhaul of our system. Do not gaslight the people. It will not pay any price. If you're able to avert the looming protest, for how long will you keep it in check? If government continues to run this way, there'll be much more protest after now. The time is right to do right, and Mr. President must work in tandem with global realities, cut down the cost of governance, become more responsible and responsive to the people, and check how you run the system. That's what is necessary, not gaslighting people or looking for people to blame.
All right, thank you for sharing that, because we did share that opinion in terms of that. To be honest, and if you and I'll ask you this, if you look at the Kenyan situation or what we've had in the past, I don't think anyone would want to encourage or see a protest happen, because at the end of the day, what people want is good governance. What the people want is that the president and the leadership are responsible and accountable to them, especially also demonstrating that they are listening. So I think that's important to highlight. And I'm glad you talked about what must be done in the medium to long term to ensure that we not only avert a protest, but also subsequent ones that could arise as a result of people feeling, marginalized. But in terms of the next few days, because August 1 is in a few days, What are the quick wins? What are the low-hanging fruits? What must the people see? Like very quick things that he must do in the immediate. I hear you, and I've listened to the broader things, some immediate, some long-term. But what are the, maybe if you had a 5-point agenda that the people would begin to see? Because again, some of these things you talked about, like economic reforms, they take time. So people are going to have to be patient to see the result. But what are those things that would indicate or would serve as an indicator that this government is serious and really ready to listen to the people, and also prevent anyone coming out to protest as a result of them feeling that this government is not responsive?
If I were Mr. President, faced by the present challenges and faced by the raging anarchy, raging anomy, and raging trouble, I would speak to the Nigerian people. I would first of all lampoon and perhaps punish the spokespersons of state who are inciting conflict and anarchy. Then I will talk to Nigerians and tell them that I understand their pains. Then I will begin pronto to cut down the cost of governance and reduce the size of my cabinet. Then I will move to the National Assembly and say to them, you cannot be taking 29 million every month when Nigerians barely have food. And we must cut the cost of sustaining the National Assembly. We cannot continue to spend hundreds of billions on 469 members of the National Assembly every year. I will come back to the Nigerian people and say to them that this is my total emolument and I'm cutting it by so and so percent, and make it effective and effectual. Salaries are going to be paid this week. Show to the Nigerian people proof that this has begun. And then one very important thing he must also do is, rather than the threat, and you see operators of states have been spending money and calling press conferences, throwing monies at youth groups and cash TVs. Mark my choice of words. Throwing money at youth groups and cash TVs and asking them to disown and denounce the protestation. I tell you what it does. It further deepens the resolve of those who want to protest. It does not dissuade them. And so Mr. President must begin to tell those who are using this to cash out that you are actually provoking the people who love their country. When I started this interview, I told you that truth is a pristine street in the city called brotherhood.
Can I ask,
and I went further to say that opposition.
Can I ask, Prof?
I went further to say that opposition.
Yes. I want you to also bring in the governors in, because we keep, you're saying Mr. President, but it's not just the president who is responsible. I'd like you, as part of your conversation, responsibilities of subnationals, the governors, what is their role, what's their responsibility as well?
Let me say this. I've always said to Nigerians who care to listen that laying blames on governors is a precedent for trying to continue this meddlesome presidential system that is at best false. Governors will tell you that they get money from Abuja. And the local governments, 774 local governments, including 36 states, do not get more than 42% of federal allocation. So the buck stops at the table of Mr. President. You have seen the issues about the negotiations for minimum wage. The buck stops at this. Until we restructure Nigeria, until we revamp this system that is ineffective, inefficient, and ineffectual, until we overhaul the system that works no good, you will find the governors having an alibi that every month they come to the federal government to receive what they call handouts. It might be big enough to do a lot of changes, but I tell you, if we return back to the First Republic Constitution and the Republican Constitution of 1963, the people will be able to effectively hold the sub-regional governments responsible and responsive to them. You have a federal government that is absolutely cumbersome, overwhelming, very wieldy, and troubling. And I say this advisedly. I'm from Ibuzo in Delta State. There's a federal government college in Ibuzo. The federal government is responsible for newspapers and typing sheets in the Federal Government College in Abuja. Who does that? How can you succeed? I know that there are roads across this country that they say the federal, why can't states control their resources and be responsible for connecting roads within the states and schools within the states? So I think that until we overhaul the system and ensure that we have a working and a workable system, blaming the government, that's why they're quiet. They know that these protestations is being planned in their various states. You know, those who are looking for, it's just like looking for a black goat in the night. The only thing to do is to shine the light. And how do you do that? The only person who can ensure that there's a peaceful protest come 1st of August to the 10th of August is Mr. President. Those who are speaking against it and threatening the people are the ones who are threatening mayhem, and that they're the ones who are walking the system to anarchy. I have said, and I'm repeating it here, that Mr. President understands the anatomy of protest and protestation. He did that with us after the June 12th. He even went into exile. He came back. He supported the protestations against the government of Jonathan, so he understands it. He must tell those who are distancing themselves and spending government resources, pouring out monies to activists, ex-NANS presidents, I don't know what that means. This group, that group, I don't know what that means. And they are on TV saying that, oh, we're against a protest. Who does that? How do you run a state like that? Have you forgotten? Okay. Have you forgotten that this country must work?
Okay.
Have you forgotten that there are people who cannot put 3 square meals on their table? Have you forgotten that this system has become absolutely comatose and nothing is moving? And you're saying to the people that they have no right to disagree with the system? Who does that?
Okay, Prof, I want you to speak to the cash activists this morning. Those that, because of their own selfish interest, they've always eaten from the system. They don't mean well, but they hijack everything possible for their own. They are the ones that are quick to make statements across the country. I want you to speak to the conscience of the cash activists because we have too many of them.
Rufai, if you zoom the camera very close to me, you'll see tears coming down my cheek. I wake up every morning, and I'm speaking to them. I wake up every morning. I don't have a contract from any government, apart from my prayer jobs and my legal briefs. But when you wake up in the morning, I wake up every morning, I have 10, 20 text messages. Please, Prof, even if it's 2,000, even if it's 5,000, even if it's 10,000. And how long can you sustain this? The system has gone kaput. If we truly care about Mr. President, then you call yourself an activist, but have lost your conscience, and you call yourself a man who believes that the country must move forward and a progressive. And 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you were out on the streets with us fighting against Jonathan. If you truly love President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and you truly care about your brother and sister who's out there who cannot afford food, clothing, and shelter, then now is the time to retrace your steps and show truly that you love Nigeria and you love your country.
But open
rebuke is better than secret love.
But I would like to ask you, Prof. In Jonathan's time, things were working better than this. Why did you people, join President Tinubu then and the other call against Jonathan, where the economy worked, where the economy was the first 5 for investment in Africa? The GDP was close to 500 billion. There was lower unemployment rates. And there were many things that were working in the economy. So why did you people join him then? Because a former governor has come out to say that you people did that because of politics. That's what a former governor in the APC camp came and said, that it was just because of politics, that the man didn't do anything wrong. So why did you people join him then?
For so many of us, and that's why I couched the word activists. For so many of us who fought against Jonathan, we were not politically interested in, when it was 2012. That great protestation at Ojota happened in 2012. There was a fair price increase. It was popular. We said no to it. We wanted Jonathan to be responsible and responsive. We saw corruption at several levels. And we wanted a society that would work better. And I've told people that repeatedly, those who, along with some of us, fought against Jonathan should have a prick on their conscience and stop defending a system that is worse than we had then. Stop romanticizing a system that is worse now than we had then. If you truly were an activist, not a cashtivist, if you truly love our country and you want a country that works for all, for the good of all, then you should rise up now. Now is the time to stand up and be counted. You should be able to look in the face of Mr. President. And that's why I'm saying to Mr. President today, you told us, you were with us in the trenches. You told us that you want a country that works for the good of all. It is not working under you. And there's a lot to be done. Tell those who are threatening people who are planning protests or protestations to stop threatening them. Reach out to Nigerians. It is not difficult to do the right thing. Madiba Nessin Rolich Lala said a long time ago that the time is always right to do right. If you have gone so far on a wrong road and you know that it is hurting the Nigerian people, turn back and do what is right.
Prof.
The only legacy you owe the Nigerian people is to walk and align with what will make life better for the masses of our people.
But Prof.
Gaslighting those who are saying that we must make our country work is anathema. It is wrong.
Prof.
Go on.
It
go
was
on,
your protest like your protests that pulled a man that was putting this economy on a path of growth then out and brought in the APC that destroyed the economy, that in the last 8 years, you have seen a downward spiral. Do you regret the things protesting against Jonathan then? Because you see, the same fuel subsidy you people went out on the street in Ojota to protest then, it's still the same subsidy that Tinubu has removed today. And you called Jonathan a demon that time. So do you people regret what you did in 2012?
No, but has it? Rufai, there are questions that agitate my mind as I answer that question. Has he truly removed that subsidy? You know, there's a whole lot of deceit in that sector.
But
let
the
me
question
answer
is still
you.
up. So do you
Rufai,
regret what you people did against Jonathan that time?
No, I do not regret fighting for a better society. My pain is the fact that those who, along with us, fought for a better society were absolutely hypocritical, pharisaical, and untrue to what we said on paper. I will continue to fight. If I remember that I headed one of the arms of Buhari's campaign. I was the DG Change Ambassadors of Nigeria. And 2 years into Buhari's government, exactly 2 days after Lai Mohammed announced the cliché, change begins with you, I came on national TV and I said, no, that's not what we told Nigerians. We told Nigerians that we will lead the change. And our mantra was change. You don't, after we gotten power, turn the responsibility to the Nigerian people. And so many people who are basically the cashtivists today said that I was angry because I wasn't given an appointment by Buhari. 2 years after, in 2017, that was when I left. I stopped supporting Buhari's government. I became one of the greatest critics of that government. I have remained critical of the APC, not necessarily because of politics, but because we promised to do better. We promised to outperform Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. But years down the line, after 8 years of larceny, 8 years of profligacy, 8 years of locust under President Muhammad Buhari, we are increasingly seeing something that is tending towards being worse than that.
Prof, will you
And
call
Nigerians
Tinubu
are
your
saying, "No, we won't
hero
allow
at some
it."
point? Femi, please step in. Prof, just one word. Would you call Tinubu your hero at some point? Just one word as Femi
He knows
comes
I
in.
wouldn't.
Okay, good.
He
Femi.
knows I wouldn't.
He said no.
I
Okay,
have
you
said,
wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. I have said time without number. And if you look at my profile, you'll see. My heroes are one, my late father, who taught me values and taught me to be strong in what I believe.
Okay, Prof,
The
Femi
next is
needs to
Nechin,
come in.
Rolich Lala Mandela.
Prof, Femi needs to come in, yeah.
Thank you, Rufai. Thank you,
Okay.
Professor. I mean, if we look at, thanks so much. We are already in the last week of this month, and these protests are penciled in to begin next month. So I would like to ask you what your thoughts are in terms of what needs to be done to avert any type of a situation where we see any type of fatal coming together of people. What do you think needs to be done to avoid a protest happening next month? Or do you think that these protests are now going to be inevitable? If you could answer this in just a minute as we're running out of time.
Femi, let me say this, that one beautiful thing is that you became a darling of most Nigerians. I was one of those who hailed you during the coverage of the NSAS protestation. You did a yeoman's job. You were excellent. Now, here we are at the crossroads. Here we are when young people are saying that they would not allow the despoliation and destruction of their country. Going forward, I think that the ball and the buck is at the table of Mr. President. How they manage the next 5 to 10 days is their choice. If you continue to allow operations of state to provoke the masses of the people, it's your choice. If you continue to gaslight and spend monies on cash TVs to refuse to support a progressive effort, it is your choice. I think and I believe that peaceful protest is the right of the people. And what is necessary is to show that you're not opposed to the young people, you're not against their freedom to express their rights, because if you do so, then they'll go under.
Okay.
And they continue to plan what they want to do.
Okay,
so what is important here is Mr. President should be forthright, he should be truthful, he should be the father of the nation, he should talk to the people, he should engage with the people, and take immediate steps to avert mayhem in perhaps crisis.
Okay, Prof, thank you so much for your insight.
So, my people, that is it. I hope you heard everything Professor Chris said here. And I hope that he spoke the minds of many Nigerians. Please, I would love you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment section as always. And also, if today is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share it as well. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're watching up to this moment, may God Almighty bless you all. So I'm going to see you guys in my next update. Thanks so much for watching and goodbye for now.